Hey guys, Matt Allen here. I am the Senior Support Specialist here with Activate. Today, we're going to talk about pricing in Activate. Before we get too far into this, it's important to note Activate has a bunch of different pricing options. Most companies using Activate only use maybe two or three of these different options. It's very unlikely that your company is going to use all of the pricing options available in Activate. With that in mind, try not to get too overwhelmed remembering all the options and how all of them work. Consider each of these as we go through them, then see which would work best for your company and how they want to price their products. Let's start with our pricing hierarchy. So, an individual product may have multiple different prices related to it. Which price gets selected when that product gets added to a sales order depends on this hierarchy of pricing. The highest level are customer contracts. Customer contracts are typically used for promotional pricing. So maybe you have a holiday sale and you want to give a special contract to one of your big customers to compete with your competitors. You generate the list of products that are going to get these special prices, when the contract starts, when it ends, and then once it's over, those prices don't get used anymore. After that, we have customer specific prices. These are very similar to customer contracts, except that you can't define unique terms codes or invoice discounts or PO numbers. You could still set expiration dates, high-low quantities, and a relationship that goes either from an individual product or a group of products based on price categories. After customer specific prices, we have customer default price codes. This is probably the most commonly used price level used in Activate. Instead of setting prices to an individual customer, price codes are really more groups of customers. This type of our wholesale customers get this price level, whereas resale customers would get this other price level. And again, you could still set high-low quantities, effective expiration dates, and it can be directly between a product or a group of products. Lastly, we have the list price. That's kind of the base price, the retail or the MSRP price. This would be, no special discounts. It would just be the bottom line price. Now let's talk about the different price types that exist in Activate. So we have price, which is what it sounds like. If the price is set to $7.89 and it's using a price type of price, when I add this product to an order and it uses that price, the price is $7.89. It's really straightforward. But then we have all these other price types, which can be based on cost. So management cost is a user-defined field. It's not really based on purchasing. You just tell that product what its management cost is. And you can use this price type to take that value and either add a percentage or add a dollar amount on top of whatever's listed in the price field. You can do the same thing for the last cost related to that product in the whatever warehouse is on the order, and also for average cost. This is kind of helpful if you're trying to keep your margins, even across products. I would say it's most common to just use prices, P-type prices. So let's start working through kind of that hierarchy. I'm going to go from the bottom up. So we're going to start with how list prices work in Activate. So here's a product. Go to the prices tab. Really straightforward. There's no other prices that you can see here related to this product. Price type is price, and the list price is just 50 cents for this button. So I create a sales order, add the product. It just comes up as 50 cents. There's no other price levels related to this button product. I can see it's the list price because it's denoted here in this little star in the price code field. That means we're using the list price and comes as 50 cents. Really straightforward. No price levels or discounts or anything like that. List price. Really simple. Next, we're going to talk about price code pricing. This is where it starts to get a little bit more complicated. These price codes are groups of customers that may pay different rates. These price codes are set up in Configuration Manager. So that's where we're going to start. So here's our price code list set up in Configuration Manager. We can kind of see we've got dealers as a group, distributors, trade high volume. We have these different price codes. Let's go ahead and make a new one. So we're going to make a new one here. We're going to call it wholesale. So, real easy. You make your price codes here, you manage them here in Configuration Manager. Next, you would define the customers that are going to use that price group. So I'll pull up a customer here. Go to the prices tab, and here's where you'd set their default price code. So now, any products or price categories that have a relationship with this wholesale price code, when those products get added to a sales order for Western Industries here, whatever that price related to that price code is will populate on the order automatically. We'll kind of go through that and show how that looks. All right, so here we have a product. We can go to our prices tab. We can see this product has relationships with other price codes. Doesn't have a relationship with the W price code because we just made it. But this product does have a relationship with this price category, executive furniture. So that's a group of products. You could have a bunch of different products like this one, and you could have a price category that groups all those things together. And your price code prices in relation could be based on that group of products rather than an individual product. So we'll kind of go through how that works. In this price code maintenance window here, I can go to my new price code. On this categories tab, I can select executive furniture. We'll say it's just price, and we'll set the price to be $400 unit. And this establishes the relationship between our W price code and any product that uses executive furniture as their price category. So now, I create an order for Western Industries, and we add our product. It's going to come up with W as the price code. The price exists in relation with that category. There's no other prices that are selected ahead of this. And so because the relationship between the price category and the price code says the price is $400, and this product falls into that price category, $400 populates as the price on this sale. Okay, going back to our CH20 product, we'll change the price types up a little bit and see how the types work. So CH20 in the F warehouse has an average cost of $423. So let's keep that in mind. If we go back to our price code maintenance window, right now, this is set to a price, right? So it's just $400. Price type of P just populates with whatever that number is. So let's change that. Let's change the relationship. So let's use average cost plus percent. And let's say we're going to take the average cost and we're going to add 10%. So notice this field says price percent, so it's either, this value could either be a price if it's based on, a dollar amount, or it could be the percentage here. So I'll make that same order, same customer. And see, the price pops up differently. Now it comes up as $465.30 instead of $400, because we're taking the average cost of this product in the F warehouse, $423. We're adding 10%, so $42.30, and here we go. Our price is $465.30 because this is in the F warehouse. And that's kind of an example of how cost-based pricing works with those different price types. And again, you can do this based on the management cost, the management cost is set, or the last cost in the warehouse. So you've got some options in kind of how that works. So this is how the relationship works between a group of products and a price code, the executive furniture price category and price code W. Now let's see how it works with a product-specific relationship. So here, right now, we're on the Categories tab, looking at the category relationships with the wholesale price code. I can click on this Products tab and define a product-specific relationship. Add CH20 here. Let's say it's, I don't know, 385. And now we have both relationships. CH20 is a part of executive furniture, and that uses this price, the average cost plus 10%. But now we have a direct relationship between CH20 and the W price code. In our pricing hierarchy, product-specific relationships are taken ahead of product grouping. So even though it is a part of executive furniture, and that would use 10% over the average, because this relationship exists directly between CH20 and the wholesale price code, this is the price that would get selected. So when I take an order, didn't save. So here, when I pull it up, instead of using that price related to the cost that came up as 463, because the product specific relationship exists, it pops up with a 385 that I just defined. And so I'm kind of keep that in mind as we go forward. The product specific relationships will always be taken ahead of the price category relationships. Next, let's take a look at how high-low quantities work in relation to these prices. So if I pull up my product, and look at our prices, here I can see that relationship that I defined with the wholesale price code. There's that 385. So let's say I change this, and let's say I have a relationship with the wholesale price code where it's $400 if you buy anywhere between 1 and 9. And then if you buy more than 9, you pay the 385. Okay, this is 10 or more. I mean, I don't have to define a high quantity here. It's anything more than 10. This is what happens. So now when I make an order, it pops up with 400 as the price because the default quantity ordered here is 1. But let's say I change that to 15. Now it uses the same price code, still using W, but because the quantity is greater than what we specified over here, it updates the price and uses a 385 price, because we're ordering more than 9, we're ordering 10, which means that this group of customers, when they buy higher quantities, are going to get a better rate. So a single product can have multiple direct relationships with the same price code based on different high-low quantities and also effective and expiration dates. And so let's take a look at those and how that works. So let's get rid of these high-low quantities. And let's say the 385, we'll do this, let's say it's a promotional rate. And, for these dates, the price is going to be less. So let's say this is a pretty short promotion, but so let's say we set this as our relationship. So now, if I have an order where the date's between 7/24/19 and 7/25/19, they pay this 385. If the order is outside of that date range, then they're going to pay this 400. So kind of show how that works. We got our order here, date set to 7/24, which is today. Oh, I put the wrong customer. I didn't put the customer in. Whoops. Yeah, you got to set the customer first. There we go. Because the date on the order up here is 7/24/2019, and my relationship with the wholesale price code here for those date ranges is 385. 385 is the price that populates on my sales order. But let's say we placed an order with a different date. So let's say I made my order and I set the date to be in the future. Add the customer, everything else is the same. I didn't set the date. There we go, 26th. Because the date here is after the 25th, which is when the 385 price expires, it doesn't use the 385. It goes back to the 400 price. So that's kind of an example of how effective and expiration dates would work in relation to prices. And these are really all the same. So whether these are price code prices or, when we get into customer specific and contract pricing, the concepts of product relationships to price categories or directly to the product work the same way. High-low quantities work the same way. Effective expiration dates work the same way. I mean, that logic pretty much works the same for all of the different prices in our hierarchy. So that's our price code prices and a bunch of the different options for, our price types and how we can make those price code prices work. Now let's take a look at customer specific prices. So in our customer window, go over to the prices tab, and I can make a customer specific price for our product. So there's product. We could specify the customer specific price code is an exclamation point, kind of how the star was list price. Exclamation point is going to mean customer specific price, so you can tell the difference. Let's say the price here is, I don't know, $350. So now, when I make an order for this customer, the price populates as 350, and this price code is not using the W, it's using our exclamation point here. So this is an example of the pricing hierarchy. Even though there are prices where CH20 is related to our wholesale price code, and our Western industry customer is using the wholesale price code as their default, but because there's a customer specific price which exists between this product and this customer, that price is selected ahead of those. Good example of kind of how the hierarchy works here. It's using the 350 price instead of the 400 or 385 price, depending on date that we had set up for the wholesale price code. So now let's take a look at contract pricing. Contract pricing, again, is specified for the individual customer. These aren't groups like price codes. Contracts are really similar to customer-specific prices, but they are taken ahead of the customer-specific. The contracts are the highest level in our hierarchy, and it gives you a few more options that you didn't have before. So here, while I'm still in the Prices tab, I'm going to move from Prices to Contracts over here on the left. And this is where I can set up my customer contracts. So let's say we're making a new contract for this customer, and let's say it's called, I don't know, Summer Sale. And let's say this is this is our summer sale for limited time. We could set up this to where the products related to this specific contract might have some special pricing related to them that goes a level beyond the price code prices and even the customer specific prices. So I'll stop there for now. Let's take a look at some things related to this customer. So our default terms code for Western Industries is net 30. So normally when they place orders, they've got 30 days to pay us. That's their terms. Well, one of the nifty things that you can do with customer contracts is you could change the terms code to where for orders placed that use this contract, they may have different terms. So, we haven't set a unique terms code for this yet. So if I were to make sales order for this customer now, it's going to pop up and ask me if I want to use that contract. This is important. If you check this box and say, do not display this alert again, it won't. It's not going to pop up and alert you. It's going to, basically, if you want to use the customer's contract, you would manually have to select that. And I'll show you where that is. So be careful about checking this box. So it's asking me, contracts exist for this customer. Do you want to use one? I say yes. There may be multiple different contracts that you have for this customer. And so here you would select which one you're going to use. So I'll select my contract. That's kind of how that works. And I can see that their default terms of net 30 are added here because I haven't specified anything unique for our contract yet. But let's say I did. Let's say for our contract here, I said that you get a unique terms for this contract where you get to use net 60. So now when I create an order for Western Industries and it asks me if I want to use the contract, I say, yes, I'm using this one right here. It changes the terms to net 60. So even though I normally would give my customer 30 days to make payments on orders, if they're buying using this contract that we've set up, they get to use net 60. They have longer to pay, benefits them. Okay, let's see what else is there. You could also set a unique PO number. So I could set a PO number here and say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I create an order. It sets that PO number on the order based on the contract. So if they're all going to be the same, maybe this is one huge order, customer PO, and you want to use the same number, you can set that as well. And these are things that you can do with customer contracts that you can't do with any of our other pricing levels. So now let's take a look at how this actually works in relation to products. So that's kind of what makes contract pricing different from customer-specific prices. But let's take a look at how that works for specific products. So here We have our customer specific price for CH20, where Western Industries pays $350. But if I create a contract price, so here's the contracts defined, I use same product, same code, because it's not, price code pricing. And let's say this is $325 instead of $350. So now we have both. We have a customer specific price of $350, but then we've got this contract price of $325 for CH20. So when I create my order, use my contract, go and add the product, it populates with the $325 price instead of the $350. The price code still shows it's customer specific because, well, it's not related to the W price code. It's unique to this one customer. But because we are using our specified contract that exists for this customer, that price is taken ahead of the customer specific price. The last thing I'll show you with the contract pricing is you can set a default discount percentage for all invoices that are created for orders that use that specific contract. So I go back to my contracts here. I can say there's an invoice discount percent of 10%, let's say. And so it's a generic percentage for all these orders that get created. Create the order, select the contract, add the product. The product price populates the same. It's still $325 because that's at the line level. But see down here, we've got a discount set of 10%. So we're taking $32.50 off the whole order because this is set at the invoice level. And so that 10% would be applied to however many products you may add to the order, and it would just take 10% off. So it's just another kind of promotion that you may be able to add if you're using customer contract pricing. So that's pretty much our pricing hierarchy, and it's pretty much how you go from the bottom with list prices all the way up through contract pricing. Now I'm going to take a second to talk to you guys about catch weight pricing. So literally what that means is your price on the order is dictated by how much the product that's on that order weighs, the weight of that. Now, in order for that to really work, the first thing we're going to have to do is define the relationship between units of measure so that they work. There's a relationship that knows, how many pounds are in a case. So let's take a look at that. So here I'm looking at our units of measure, and I'm going to highlight two of them here. So the first is pound, and we've got this weight relationship in units of measure between pound and case, where there are 10 pounds in every case. So we set the relationship between the units of measure here. We should also set the relationship the other direction. So for the case unit of measure, there are 0.1 cases in a pound. It's the same thing backwards. It's best to set the relationship both ways between both units of measure. So let's take a look at a product and see how this actually works. So here we have a product. This product is steaks. There's 12-ounce New York strips, and there are 20 of these in every case, in every carton. If I go to the prices tab, we're pricing by the pound. So the price here is $35 per pound, even though we're stocking and selling based on the case. But because we've defined the relationship between case and pound in Configuration Manager, all we have to do now is define the relationship for this specific product. So on the specs tab, I can specify that there are 15 pounds in every case of this product. So that's required. You'd have to set that in order to use catch weight pricing. And so let's see how that looks when we actually add it to a sales order. All right, we've added this. Let's say they want to buy 20 cases. So Ruby Baker wants 20 cases of my New York strips. Maybe she has a restaurant, she's paying good money. It populates with, the unit of measure and the sales unit as to how much we're going to have here, the 20, and the price defaults to $35 per pound. Well, the standard relationship is that there are the case weights 15 pounds in every case. And so the weight defaults to 300 here. And so, calculate here, price times quantity, we get, $10,500 is what it's going to be. But we're making some assumptions here. We're assuming that each one of those cases contains exactly 15 pounds, but that may not always be the case. There could be some variance between how much a case actually weighs, and you may want to price your customers based on the actual weight of that case rather than, a standard relationship. So that's where catch weight pricing comes in here. So New York strips, lot controlled. That makes sense. It's food. We go to our lot numbers tab and we select our lot number. So the first we're going to pick is, this one here, and the quantity is 10. And I can specify that the weight may be a little bit different. So let's say I add this here and set the weight to be, 147 for those 10 instead of 150. And let's say I add my other lot, and for these 10 on this lot, let's say the weight's actually, 146.5. Let's say both of these are a little bit light. And so while the weight before, the assumed weight was going to be 300 pounds, we find that when we're adding the lots and we're actually selling them, the real weight tied to these are 293.5 pounds. And so when I select these, the weight changes here from 300 to 293.5, and the amount changes because we're basing our price on the weight. So this is a way that you can actually, if you have products where there may be some variance between the weight of your stocking unit of measure, you could set it up this way so you're pricing your customers specifically on how much you're actually selling them, the weight of what you're really selling them. It's important to note that catch weight pricing also works for lengths. So if you buy by the square foot but sell by the roll, and those are your units of measure, and there may be some variance in lengths, let's say, you could do the same thing we're doing here for catch weight for length. You would just have to define those relationships in Configuration Manager and set the lengths metrics on the specs tab of the product like we did here for our New York strip. So I think that's pretty much it. That's basically the pricing, how it works, our price types, our hierarchy, and catch weight pricing. So at this time, I'm going to open this up and take some questions. Give me just a second. Those are coming in now. Okay, perfect. So the first question that comes in is, I have a group of 20 customers. I want a custom price on 20 different items. Those items have different prices. What's the best way to do this? So you can have multiple prices or multiple products in an individual price code. So what we could do here is we could take a group of customers and set their relationship with the price code. So the same way we did with, we could take Ruby Baker and say that her price code is a default of, dealer. And so you take all of these different customers that are in the same group, in the same hierarchy, and say that these are the D price codes. So while Ruby Baker is a dealer, you could have 19 other customers who are also dealers. Then within that price code relationship, you could define a different price for each of those products. So here's D. I go to the products tab and you can kind of see here, we have multiple products that all have their own unique price in relation to that one price code. So any customer gets added to an order, that order comes in and the default price code set to D. Then if there's a relationship that exists between any product in your database and that price code, you can use those unique prices for, however that populates in the order. Okay, let's see what's next. Okay, great question. So the next question here is, these seem great for general use with manual entry. Can we use these for EDI transaction customers for a promotion? Will the system know which contract to default to if the transaction's EDI? So, EDI is just a method of entering orders, so it's not that different. You'd have it set up for the default customer. So if I pull up, here's my customer, and let's say I set my EDI trading partner here, so it knows what customer we're going to be using, and it's going to use the same hierarchy. So as the order gets created and this customer gets added, it's going to use, the same hierarchy. It's going to go through, if there are price code prices, it uses those. And if there are contract prices that we have set up over here, it's going to look and see, here's a contract, here's our products that they're related to and what our contract pricing is, and all the contract information will populate when the order gets created. If there are multiple different contracts that are related to one customer, in this case, say you're the customer related to your EDI trading partner, you would need to select which contract you're using on the order. So you would say, here's this contract, and this is what we're using today, and here's that contract. And it would populate when the order gets created, and then whatever the relationship for pricing is between those products and that contract, that's what it'll use when the order gets created. Okay, here's a good question. Is customer contract pricing used for something like a trade show promotional price? And can that also be tied to marketing codes or marketing lists for reporting? So, good question. I would think that, trade show promotional pricing would be a great use of a customer contract. You could say your trade show is, starts on Friday, goes over the weekend, and you're going to give, X number of customers this contract price for the next week. And so you could create your contract, you could set your effective and expiration dates, load up all the products that you're trying to sell at that trade show. And then during that period of time, if they place an order between, that Friday and the following Friday, those contract prices populate. It'll use whatever that contract price is, your special promotion price. And then if orders get placed the following week, after that expiration date is over, well, that stops. All that falls off because those prices are no longer in effect. You're outside of the promotional pricing range. And so it would use that. As for how you could tie that into marketing codes and marketing lists, there's not a direct relationship between the marketing codes and marketing lists and your contracts. But with reporting and Activate, you could relate those two things together and say, show me, the customers, their marketing codes, marketing lists, where the contract on the order is this. And so you could use reporting and Activate to have that information. There's just not a direct way of relating those things together. Okay, so the next question here is, if you wanted to run a discount percent for the summer sale contract, could you do that using the everyday price? For example, all orders during summer sale get 5% off. Well, in order for that to work, you would have to have a contract that's set up for every customer. So it depends. All orders could be for, any customer. You'd have to have promotional pricing set up for everybody if you're using the customer contracts. So it's not really, doesn't really work that way. All orders could be for anybody, but contract pricing is very specific to one individual customer. There are other ways that you could enter promotional pricing and update that for everybody. So all customers take all products with this particular invoice discount percentage, but it wouldn't be through the customer contracts. That's more of a one-to-one relationship with the individual customer versus everybody. Okay, so the next question we've got here is, can you elaborate on managing and using price categories? So yeah, good question. So in our price code maintenance window, there are different relationships that exist. So product specific are these. So if I add a customer and that customer uses D as their default price code, and then I add a product to that order, let's say I add B20 to that sales order, the price that populates is going to be $1.80, assuming there's no customer contract or customer specific price between B20 and whatever customer's on that order. So this is what's taken first. But moving past that, we'll go to the categories. So let's say B20 did not have a direct relationship with the dealer price code, but B20 was a part of this price category, a grouping of products, and we could define that relationship. So here we'd say, let's say it's in, supplies, and here you would set that relationship. Now, I would say if you're using pricing where you're setting category relationships with the price code, it kind of seems unlikely that you would just use P as the price type, because, unless every product within that price category is sold for exactly the same amount, it's the same price across the board, I would say it's more likely that you would use some sort of cost-based pricing. You'd use something like, I want to use the list price, whatever the list price of that product is, and add a percentage to that. So list price is $10 and I'm adding 10%, then when that product populates, it shows up as $11, because that's how that works. Or do something based on cost. So if you use products that have average costs and you just want to add, every product in this grouping, we want their prices to be the average cost plus 15%. And so that kind of keeps your margins consistent across all the products in that group, in that price category. That would kind of make sense, even if their actual prices may vary and they may be different. So there are a bunch of different options as to how you can do this, but you would take all the different products, just like we had, this product on the prices tab, and you would define what category that's a part of. And then that grouping of products gets used as you set the relationship in the price code maintenance window. Okay. Looks like the next question is, what are the price types again? Okay, so I can go back over those. Actually, this is probably a good place to do that. So there are several different price types that you can use. Obviously, when you're setting the price types on the list price, you don't have the option for setting list plus amount or list plus percent, because that is the list price. But they are what they sound like. So list price plus amount, that would mean when I have a product here and I have a list price of $3.95, list price plus amount means it's going to be $3.95. And if I set that to be plus, $5, then it's going to populate as $8.95, because that's the list price plus whatever this amount is. List minus percent is what it sounds like. Again, list price is $3.95. This is minus percent. So this is actually going to take a percentage off, makes it easy. All of our customers that are in this group are just going to get 5% off of whatever our normal prices are. And that's kind of an answer to an earlier question. You could just update your customers to use the same price code and set a relationship for your price code to be list minus a certain percent, 5% for this period of time, and then update your products to have a relationship with this price code or the price category to have a relationship with the price code, which is list minus 5%. And then it doesn't matter what customer places an order. It doesn't matter which product gets added, as long as it's within this range of time, everybody's going to get X% off of our list price. Probably a good place to talk about imports. So I'm talking about setting all of these things in batches, right? So all of your customers use the same price code, all of your products to use the same, price category or have these relationships. That'd be pretty time consuming if you were to do that in individual windows. So this customer, then the next customer, then the next customer. You can actually import product prices over here. So we have a product prices import, and I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You would map, the requirements would be the product ID and the price type. So product ID would be one column in your spreadsheet. And then in the same row on adjacent columns, you would map data to these different fields. So product is XYZ, and for price code, either listed in this column or you could set a default. These are all for our wholesale, for everything that's in this list. And the price is in column C, and it's, for this product, it's $10. And on the next row, this product's, $15. You'd set these all here. You could set your high-low quantities, your expiration dates. If it's customer specific, you could map it to one individual customer. Or if you created a contract for an individual customer, you could map, so these are the prices specifically related to that contract that you just created. So using these imports, you can set product prices in batches rather than having to set them one at a time for each individual product. Okay, I think that's it. I think those are all the questions that we have for today. Again, I'm Matt Allen, the Senior Support Specialist here at Activate. If you have any questions that I didn't answer today or we didn't get to, or you want some more information, you can email us at support@activate.com, and it'll come into our support team, and we can field those questions to get everything worked out for you guys. Thanks for your time, and have a great day.